Okay, so you're thinking about making the move to Utah. Well, this video is going to be quite different than many of my other videos in that I'm going to pitch you on why you may not want to move to the state of Utah. And in this video, I'm going to share the top 10 reasons that you might want to not make the move to the state of Utah. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Steele, and I'm a local real estate agent and broker, and I help people make the move to Utah each and every day. I also have people reach out to me that live within the state of Utah that are looking to make the move as well. So if that's you, please subscribe to this channel as it helps me stay in front of people just like you and to answer your specific questions. I love serving people and answering their specific questions right here on my channel. And in this video, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to be a little negative, but I want to make sure that I'm sharing not only the best parts of Utah, but maybe some of the things that people are really concerned about, because I want to make sure that we have that transparency to make sure that your expectations are met when and if you make that move here. Okay, so in this video, I'm outlining the 10 reasons why you might not want to make the move to Utah. Let's start with number one, and it's one of the things that I see more people complain about in the comments or just in general, and that's the cost of living. The cost of living in Utah is on the rise, specifically with respect to housing and rents, but the cost of living overall is on the rise, and this is something that's quite painful for many people. And even though we have much better cost of living indexes within many sectors of the economy, including utilities and food and things, it still hurts. If you're a wage earner here and you're not really earning a really great living, it can be a true struggle. So cost of living is on the rise in Utah in so many ways, especially as we've navigated the last 4 to 5 years where we've seen inflation take hold, not only here in the state of Utah, but everywhere. And that inflation has manifested itself as well in real estate. So real estate costs have shot up with the increase in demand and people moving here. But also the bottom line is we're just not building enough starter homes. I believe that one of the biggest impacts on cost of living is your housing expenditure. It's how much are you spending to live in that home, whether you're renting or you're buying that home. That is a major player as to how it affects every other area of your life. And if your wages are not keeping with your spending just for basic necessities, it's becoming incredibly difficult. So why is it that not only Utah, but every state in this country is seeing an immense amount of cost of living increase with respect to housing? Well, it boils down to this, and I think this is one of the driving forces for rising real estate costs. If we look back 40 years ago in our country, we were building so many more starter homes. So if we qualify a starter home as being a home that's less than 1,500 square feet, because it's more affordable for a first-time home buyer, those homes were making up almost 28% of all home building that was taking place just 40 years ago. Today, that number has dwindled down to 5%. So back then, we were building almost 500,000 starter homes per year in our country. This last year, in the entire country, homes that are less than 1,450 square feet made up just 53,000 of the homes that were built in this country. And so the lack of building these starter homes is truly impacting everybody, because when people can't buy the starter home, what do? They go up and buy the more expensive homes. So when you have a home that's priced 20% above the median price point, those homes are going up in value. And so when we don't have enough starter homes, it increases the values of all the other homes to the point where it just becomes unaffordable for so many people. So unless you're making $120,000 or $130,000 per year, it becomes difficult to just buy an average home. Now, with this said, I still have faith that Utah, more so than any other state in the country, will actually do something to try to solve this problem. And it's not just coming from the regulatory environment or the state level. It's not just the developers to blame. It's that the developers are building these homes because that's what's more profitable. We've got to create an environment where developers are not only inspired to, but also required to, and perhaps driven to build these starter homes. And I think that's going to be a key indicator for Utah's success in the coming years, but definitely in the future ahead. All right, number two, if you're investing in real estate, let's say it's not just a primary residence, but if you're looking to invest in real estate in the state of Utah, making that purchase an investment property and having a positive cash flow on that investment is incredibly difficult. In fact, you're almost guaranteed going to have a little bit of a negative cash-on-cash return in terms of a long-term rental purchase. But where we lack in cash flow returns on these investment properties, we more than make up for with appreciation. So Utah definitely falls within line of being being one of those appreciation markets and not one of those cash flow markets. If you're looking for a cash flow market, Utah's probably not your place. All right, number 3, this is something I get a lot of complaints about, and it's kind of funny because it's not the majority of the state anymore, but that's the religious influence that is really part of the fabric to our lives here in the state of Utah. Some people don't like that, other people love that, and you don't actually have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to appreciate the values that are instilled and ingrained within the fabric of our communities here. Now, members of that faith make up just over 42% of our population. And so if that's not something you're looking for, if you don't like the influence of the politicians that might have those values that align with those religious beliefs, it might not be the place for you. One of the places that I see in day-to-day life that people like to complain about is our alcohol laws. And yes, I will admit the alcohol laws here in Utah are a little quirky, and I completely understand that it's not for everybody, but the alcohol laws are not the only reason that people find it a little different. So if that's not something you're looking for, Utah could be the wrong place. I will add, however, that Utah has improved dramatically in terms of outsiders coming in, not being religious in any way, shape, or form, and finding a wonderful home here and making and keeping really good connections and making friends here. You don't have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ to really identify with being a Utahn anymore. And I think that's kind of cool because I really like the diversity that comes with people coming from all over the country and all over the world and making Utah their home. All right, moving on. Number 4, Utah has the 25th highest tax rate. So when we're talking taxes, what I'm talking about is the overall tax burden. And Utah's really right in the middle of the pack. It's not really that bad, but it's certainly not good either. And I think that's one of the negatives about making the move here. There are other states where you have no income tax, but perhaps you have a really high property tax, like in the state of Texas. So in the state of Texas, you might not have an income tax, but you certainly have a much higher property tax. And other costs are significantly higher, like the cost of electricity. So you really got to take a wholesome approach to analyzing all of the costs and all of the tax burdens when making the move to any state, and Utah ranks pretty much right in the middle of the pack. And that leads me into number 5, and I will say this: Utah ranks in the top 10 least diverse states in the country. We're not just talking race, we're not talking diversity in ethnicity or in culture, but also other religious influence and other things that you might consider as elements of diversity. So if diversity is really important to you, Utah might not be the place for you. I see some people are really gravitated towards people that are very different than them, but for the vast majority of people, we really truly identify with more people that are similar to us, and that's just human nature. And so Utah's lack of diversity is something that might not be for everybody, and that's okay. All right, next up, moving on, I'm going to count number 6 as we don't have any beaches here. And so a lot of people that are making the move here are coming from states like California or perhaps Washington or Oregon where they have beaches. But specifically California, we see a lot of people make the move here, and the thing that they miss the most is the beach. So my wife made the move here to Utah from Southern California as well, and that's the one thing that she misses most about California. And so no, Utah does not have beaches, but it does have those beautiful mountains. And I think that that somewhat makes up for that. But if you're looking for beaches, don't come here. We're landlocked. We don't have beaches. All right, number 7, I want to talk about alcohol laws. Yes, Utah has some quirky and weird alcohol laws. Those laws have been relieved and loosened up a little bit over recent years to the point where it's much more normal, but Utah is still a little bit quirky. So if you're coming from a place where that's a way of life and it's really important to you, you might find that you're going to have to adjust your lifestyle and just adjust how you drink alcohol and where you buy it, because all of our alcohol is sold through state-run liquor stores. Now, luckily, those liquor stores are scattered everywhere. You can pretty much have access to one no matter where you live within a relatively short distance. So that's good, but it's not for everybody. When you go out to eat, for example, you're going to have different laws in terms of eating food along with your alcoholic beverage. So there's so many quirky things, and it's just something to consider if that's something that's really important to you. All right, number 8, we do have 4 seasons in Utah, but for some people, one of the things that they might not love about living in the state of Utah is that we do get to experience the extremes. We have the cold winters, we have the hot summers, and that's not for everybody, to be honest with you. Many people are coming from climates that are more temperate, more moderate throughout the year, and Utah just has more of those extremes. I personally, as a local Utahn, I love it. I love the diversity in weather that I get to experience all of the things that come along with living in 4 seasons, but I can relate that's not for everybody, and I completely understand. So drop a comment below and tell me, is that something that you consider a pro or is it a con? Because I see it listed as both. If you're moving here from Florida, maybe you're in Texas, maybe you're in California, those places are going to be a little bit of a shock in terms of you're experiencing winter. One thing that I noticed though is a lot of people that are making the move here are not only looking forward to, but they're excited about living somewhere where they get to experience snow. Something that we as local Utahns take for granted all the time, but so many people are so excited to experience snow for the first time. And if that's you, Utah has the greatest snow on earth with respect to outdoor activities and skiing and snowboarding and snowmobiling, snowshoeing, whatever the case may be, but it's not for everybody. And while we're on the topic of weather, number 9, I'm going to talk about the dry climate here. Some people are going to struggle with the fact that our air is so dry. Maybe you're going to have to put a lot more lotion on your hands. Maybe you're going to have to take care of your skin differently. Maybe you're going to have to take care of your hair differently. Regardless, it's really dry here, and that's not for everybody. I personally love the way that it feels to be in the dry, cool, crisp mountain air, but it's not for everybody. Okay, number 10. This is my favorite thing to comment on because I get so many people in the comments describing this particular thing, and that is our bad drivers. Now, I think that no matter where people live, they say that their drivers are the worst, but I think there's some merit to people saying that Utah drivers are just impatient or rude. They don't let you in, they don't let you merge. I've experienced it. I know that my wife has come from Southern California, and she says that the drivers in Utah are the worst she's ever seen, and I completely understand that it's all based on our own personalities and our own experiences based on where we've lived, but I do think there's some merit to the comments that we have some pretty impatient drivers here. Why that's the case, I have no idea, because overall Utah's a more laid-back place to live in terms of the hustle and the bustle of living in a city. I see a lot of people coming from cities all over the country and the world, and they just love the feel of Salt Lake City just being a more organic and slower pace than what they're used to. But it seems to me that on the roads, a lot of people describe the Utah drivers as being terrible. So let me know if you've experienced it, and if you have, do you think Utah's drivers are really all that bad? Now, regardless of which of these negatives resonate with you specifically, if you yourself are making the move to Utah, I watch the people that are watching my YouTube channel, and I've noticed that the vast majority of the people watching my videos right here on my channel are not yet subscribed. And so if this content resonates with you and helps you, I'm hoping that I've earned that right to ask you to click that subscribe button, because it helps me connect with more people just like you, and that's my goal here on this channel. And if you're looking to make the move to Utah, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Please reach out to me. You can find my contact information in the description below. You can also book a call with us, and I look forward to connecting. And if you're looking to learn more about life in Utah, check out this playlist next. And until next time, thanks.